Hi, this is Andrew Wolf, and this is the second video in my series about the course that I created, Advanced Physiology and Pathophysiology, Making Connections. And in my first video, I talked about the importance of navigation and what I did to make the course well organized and easy to navigate. In this video, I want to focus on the steps that I took to create connections between myself and my students. Now, the first thing I did was I wanted to establish a strong sense of faculty presence in the course. Now, I want to show what I did because you can have a strong sense of presence in the course without really being available to your students 24/7. And you can do this by designing into the course a very strong video presence and frequent interactions with the students. And so you can have a strong sense of social presence without being available to your students around the clock. So if you design your course well, the students will have a strong sense of connection with you 24/7 without you necessarily being available to the course 24/7 and with you having a reasonable workload in the course. So one of the principles that I used in this course was to have a strong faculty presence using video, and I showed you in the beginning of the course in my introductory module. I started out with a video introduction. And, in some of my courses, I actually have a headshot of myself just introducing myself. And instead of sort of having a faculty bio on that is written, I actually just introduce myself and tell my students a little bit about me in the video. So that is an option as well. And I also have a strong presence in the course, video presence in the course throughout my through each of the modules in my interactive lessons, through each of my videos here that I have uploaded on YouTube. And in these videos, I sort of take the students step by step through the material that I provide, and the students tell me that the videos that I created here are actually like blackboard videos that it looks like I'm writing on a blackboard with chalk, and this is, as far as I'm aware, was initially developed by Saul Kahn from Khan Academy, and I've sort of compared a number of different videos and trialed a number of different video styles for this course with my students, including voiceover, PowerPoint, and standard lectures. And the students by far prefer this video, and they tell me that the reason they prefer it is they feel like I'm right there in the room with them explaining the material. So they feel like it's almost like a tutoring experience, that I'm sitting there at a desk with them with a blackboard in front of the two of us describing the concepts. So this technique really provides a strong sense of presence and is really powerful for a course like this that has highly visual content. So this physiology course, in order to learn physiology, you really need to be able to picture the concepts of what's going on in the body and your mind. So if you're teaching a course that has concepts that are very visual, or can be learned well visually, this may be a technique that you may want to consider. Now, the other thing that I used is we had an ongoing Twitter feed in the class. And I just created a hashtag. For those of you who are familiar with Twitter, I created a hashtag for the course, just hashtag NUR407. And I asked the students to use the Twitter to share connections that they're making between the course content and experience that they're having in life, or to ask questions. And I would say that the students used it more for the latter. They tended to ask a lot of questions. They would answer each other's questions, and I would also answer a lot of questions. So it's interesting because I would say a third to a half of the students in the class were very, very active on Twitter and posting numerous times a week. So you can see, some of the things that they said here. This is the feed that you're looking at here. This section of the feed, we were talking about the renal section, and one of the students here said, an interesting fact that I learned today at work was that red dye should be avoided, like popsicles or Gatorade, for a patient that's having urinary symptoms because it can irritate the urethra. And the students were responding to that and saying that was really interesting and making some other connections of problems that can be caused by red dye. And they asked a lot of questions. Sometimes it was questions about logistics of the course. Like I can't locate the answer to not the question number one in the study guide. Can anyone provide any help? And then somebody said later on, yes, I've got it. It's in slide 3. So you can see the students were actively engaged. You know, providing the connections that they're making to the course and asking questions and answering each other's questions. And then I was actively engaged as well, so I had a very active presence on this Twitter feed, answering their questions and asking further questions and just providing responses. Now, the students also were involved in providing blog posts, and I was also actively involved in the blog discussions as well. So that provided a sense of connection. And I also provided specific and timely feedback on all assignments. That is a very critical aspect of providing a sense of social presence. Now, for example, in the tests, I just built them into the tests, and I used the feedback feature that Blackboard provides as I built the tests. So you can see here under correct and incorrect feedback, there is feedback for the students about why each answer was correct or incorrect. And then, for the students that when they provided written assignments, I also provided clear and timely feedback for their that was individualized to them for their written assignments. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to point out here is that I used announcements quite frequently. So I would send announcements to my students several times a week, and sometimes I would announce something that I changed as I was grading the test. If I needed to. Sometimes I would discard a question that was not valid after doing an analysis. Sometimes I would send them a little bit of a pep talk. A lot of times, when students would ask me questions via email, if the question seemed to be one that would benefit or be a question that a lot of students would have, I would actually include it in a announcement so that everybody could benefit from the exchange. So I have here a question that the student asked me, and then I have the answer that I answered. Now, I wanted to point out here with this, this was a little pep talk that I sent to the students in the last week, and it says here, "Hi students, you're almost there. We're down to the last week. I know that it's been a challenging course, yada, yada, yada." Now, I wanted to point out something about this because what I was trying to do here, and I tried to really do this intentionally throughout the course, was use what is called in the online learning literature establishing immediacy. Now, the concept of immediacy is verbal or nonverbal communication that increases a sense of psychological closeness between individuals. Now, when you are in a classroom, a face-to-face environment, it's easy to establish a sense of immediacy through nonverbal communication, through posture and facial expressions and good eye contact and touch. But you can't do this online, so you have to be much more attuned to the methods of establishing verbal immediacy. And we can do this by using an informal verbal style, asking a lot of questions, using people's names, and sharing personal examples, using a sense of humor, expressing and conveying emotion. So, this is what I tried to do here. I provide a nice kind greeting. I tell people that I kind of show some empathy that they're getting towards the end of the course, and I'm showing that I care about where they're at, and I share their excitement that they're almost done, etc. So having this informal style that conveys emotion and empathy and compassion for where students are at is really critical in an online environment where we are lacking those nonverbal immediacy cues that we have in a face-to-face environment. And I tried to be very intentional about that in all of my communications in the course, whether I was writing an announcement, a comment response to a blog post, or an email exchange with a student. Okay, so that brings me to an end of my discussion about the student and instructor connection in the course. In my next video, I'm going to talk about what I did to increase or create connections between students or peer-to-peer connections.